You want to know how I ended up standing in front of the most expensive engine in the airline's fleet, holding nothing but a wrench and a reputation no one in that hangar seemed to respect? Well, it all started with a reckless, costly, public dare that could have ended my career. One only a CEO with too much swagger and zero patience for people like me would make. Ever had 50 people staring at you like they're waiting for a punchline? Yeah, that happened to me. My story doesn't. Start slow, so buckle up. There I was, leaner than I'd been in a decade, tired but stubborn, gripping that wrench like it was a sword. The GE90 towered over me, a beast worth more than every house in my neighborhood combined. Behind me stood a wall of white shirts, engineers, mechanics, the kind who call me ma'am, but never trust me to sign off their work. And right in the middle was Maxwell Barrett, CEO, golden boy of Atlantic Airlines, who had just told me, in front of God and everyone, if you're so sure, fix it yourself. That engine had already cost the company $8 million in downtime, and if I failed, 8 people had already been fired. My son Marcus tried to stop me, whispering, "Mom, you don't have to do this. He's setting you up." But sometimes being set up is the only way to take your shot. If I don't do this, who will? I told him, and I meant it. 3 weeks before, I was in my kitchen hoping for a quiet Sunday. Sweet potato pie in the oven, the air filled with cinnamon and nutmeg, childhood memories. My house wasn't fancy, but it was mine, paid for with settlement money after my husband's accident. A sanctuary, my fortress. Then the phone rang. It was Hank, my supervisor. "Elena, I know it's your day off, but we've got a situation on the London flight. Nobody can figure out these engine codes. The CEO's flying in with his team. You're the only one who might make sense of it. Ever have a day where your plans just get tossed out the window?" That was mine. Marcus was supposed to bring his girlfriend to dinner, the first woman since his divorce. But when you're a black woman in maintenance, with 20 years on the job, you answer when you're called. I told Hank I'd be there in 40 minutes and changed into the same navy coveralls I'd worn since '04. I stared at my face in the mirror, more silver in my curls, more lines around my eyes. But my hands were still strong. That's all that mattered. At Hartsfield-Jackson, I slipped past security, the engine noise and smell of jet fuel surrounding me. Chaos that always made sense. I've always felt at home in a hangar. Hank handed me a tablet. Trip 7, 3 years old, weird power fluctuations, captain diverted to JFK. Barrett's team claimed it was a design flaw and wanted to swap the whole system. $5 million. 2 weeks downtime. That didn't make sense. Systems don't just fail at 3 years. I told Hank, "Let me talk to the engine." He grinned. Most people thought I was crazy, but I always listened to machines. For hours, I crawled through panels, followed wires, tested connections, translating a language only I understood. That's when I found it. Not a design flaw, but a software mismatch. Somebody uploaded the wrong firmware during the last service in Dubai. The engine was talking. The system wasn't listening. I showed Hank, and he looked at me like I'd just saved Christmas. We rolled back the software, and 2 hours later, she purred like new. By midnight, she was ready for London. Barrett himself appeared. Shiny suit, cold eyes. "Remarkable work, Ms. Washington. Where did you study?" "Morris Brown College, 2 years. Then life happened. 30 years on engines, starting in the Air Force." He asked about the new AI system he was pushing, the one that had put half my department out. I told him, any tool is only as good as the hands using it. Some problems need intuition. He smelled a politician's smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. We'll see about that. The next morning, I was summoned to an all-hands meeting. Barrett delivered his pitch. AI diagnostics were coming. Automation would make us winners. Translation, job cuts. To sell it, he set up a trial. School mechanics versus his machine. For the first demo, Barrett picked me. He wanted to prove. I got lucky. I insisted on my friend Ray Booker as backup, a Vietnam vet with more aviation wisdom in his pinky than most people ever learn. They gave us impossible problems. The AI spit out diagnoses in seconds, textbook stuff, but the real curveballs, Ray and I found what the AI missed. I could see Barrett's smile tighten every time I was right. But it wasn't just competition. Something deeper was going on. Barrett started probing my background, asking about my family. Marcus called me worried. Barrett had shown up at Georgia Tech, asking about his composites research, and my father, James Washington, a genius who invented a bonding technique for carbon fiber back in the 70s, only to have it stolen by his company and buried because he was a black tech without credentials. The AR-220, Atlantic's new jet, used that very breakthrough composite. Barrett wanted it, and he was trying to squeeze it out of me, playing chess with people's jobs and histories. The trap snapped shut when I fixed the 777's engine, and Barrett offered me a shiny promotion if I'd partner with him and hand over my father's research. He wanted the last piece for his AR-220 project, but wouldn't say it outright. If I refused, my job, my team, everything we built was on the chopping block. You know what I mean? That's not a choice. That's a shakedown. I didn't bite. Margaret Shun, a board member, pulled me aside and told me to change the narrative. So I countered with a proposal of my own. Let's run a 3-month trial and see who solves more problems, my team or the AI. The board loved it. Barrett hated it, but he couldn't refuse. That should have been the end, right? Wrong. The 777 came back with another failure, another perfectly timed opportunity for Barrett to prove his system. But this time, the evidence didn't add up. The wear on the actuator didn't match natural stress. It had been tampered with. Worse, the part wasn't even original to the aircraft. Barrett tried to brush it off, but I wouldn't let it slide. I called it out right there in front of the board, the execs, the whole hangar. I didn't accuse him directly, but everyone caught the implication. Margaret Chin stepped in and ordered a full investigation. Barrett's story unraveled. His system hadn't predicted a failure. It had been fed a rigged one, plain and simple. That was the day the hangar fell silent, and all those eyes drilled into my back, not with skepticism, but with a mix of fear, awe, and something else. Respect. I've been the underdog my whole life, the black woman in coveralls no one listened to. But that day, I was the one who saw through the noise, who stood up, risked everything, and forced the truth into the light. Want a Hollywood ending? Sorry, real life's messier. Barrett's fate? That's for the board to decide. As for me, I'm still here, wrench in hand, my father's notebooks locked safe at home, my son by my side. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up to find my job replaced by an algorithm, but today I reminded everyone who's really keeping those planes in the air. And if you think the story's over, think again, because the only thing more dangerous than an engine no one understands is a woman who knows exactly what's at stake. So tell me, am I right to stand my ground and call out a lie when everyone else stayed silent? Or is the future all about trusting the machine no matter who gets left behind? Go ahead, drop your thoughts below. In this business, everyone thinks they know what justice looks like. Let's see who has the guts to say it out loud.